Hello everyone, my name is Brian and welcome back to Barb's Basement. One day I promise I'll remember where the camera is. I keep looking at like my other monitor.
Yeah.
But welcome back to yet another episode of In the Basement, which this episode will probably be the most, I know I said last week would be the most low energy episode.
Yeah, I feel like we were on it last week.
I feel like I was at like that 3 o'clock in the morning. Like you hit that like second wave of energy.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm just going to clean the whole house. Like all of a sudden, I'm at like that point where I'm like, okay, that's worn off, and I definitely need to fall
You're
asleep.
at the 4 a.m. slump now.
Yeah. I'm like the sun's starting to rise and it's starting to dawn on you that you're not going to sleep at all. That kind of shit.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, which would be everybody because you don't fucking know me, but I have crippling insomnia, and for the last like couple of days, it's just been like really bad. But Zach and I have been, the reason why we streamed on Wednesday last week was because I had just gotten back from Disney. And so this week, Zach,
so you were gone last Sunday.
Yeah, I was gone. And then you were out of town, but we're like, you know what?
And then I was just out of town, but I just got back late last night. So
What time did you get back in?
landed at like 11. So
Oh, brutal.
yeah.
Who'd you fly with?
I mean, I've been here the entire time.
We've been here. Yeah. What, theoretically, if Barb did let you leave, what airline did you fly with?
American, because
God.
I didn't choose it. The tickets were purchased for me.
American Airlines, it's been like a real hit. We're gonna like blow over this, but they've I think I told you one time that I was in the Denver airport, and like half the flights that were going out of the Denver airport all got canceled, and I was in the airport looking at Reddit and saw just in like American Airlines laid off like most of their employees or some shit, and I looked over and like everybody was standing at the American Airlines counter just like yelling at this poor lady.
I mean, it's called American, and America sucks. So.
What is this? What, are you taking away my freedoms right now? That kind of shit. But I figured this week I just finished covering Vader in the Ghost Prison. So that was... Fuck, I feel like I've reread that.
Was that the last installment today?
Yeah, issue 5 is the last installment.
Okay.
Well, that's like on TikTok. It hasn't quite gotten there on YouTube. But I want to talk about that a little bit, and then talk about Vader a little bit, and then the rest of it just shooting the shit, just seeing what's up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just gotta stay consistent with these like actual podcast live streams, I figure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
just a basement hangout.
Just a basement hang.
That's
we're
what
looking
it
at one
is.
of those 3D paintings from the 90s, and we're trying to figure out what's on it, you know what I mean? You have to like unfocus on it to see like what's behind the image. But I reread through Vader in the Ghost Prison for Barb's Basement stuff, but that was like
when did that come out, by the way?
I feel like that was like towards the end of the Dark Horse stuff. So like closer to like when Disney bought it.
Okay.
So, because you can kind of tell all that like later end like Dark Horse stuff is like pretty edgy.
Okay.
It's all Star Wars, but like
Because of who was writing it, or
just like everything that was being written at that point in time was how do we make this like as edgy as humanly possible?
yeah.
And like Legacy was like Legacy 2 really wasn't that edgy, but Cade Skywalker is the edgiest dude to ever live. But you know, it's like a lot of like a really brutal. It's like funny like juxtaposition between like the Clone Wars show and like the comic books at that point in time, because TCW is obviously like meant for like preteens, younger kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And then in Vader in the Ghost Prison, a cyborg's beating a dude to death with his bare hands.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about Star Wars, I guess. I mean, I suppose other massive fantasy franchises are like that.
I feel like
Lord of the Rings Lord of the Rings really isn't like that.
No, not at all. No.
They don't have like a kid. Well, the Hobbit stuff. I don't know.
That is a good point.
The
like
Lego
for...
Hobbit, I guess.
Right? I don't think it counts if the writer of the story was dead when the thing came out.
True.
Because did he find World War I or World War II?
That must have been.
He didn't fight because he was like a pacifist or whatever.
Yeah, must have been. Gosh, when did he die? I don't even know.
I don't know. I feel like he wrote those books like in the 30s or some shit.
That sounds about right.
That sounds about right. But I think that what he would be thinking is, I'm rolling him over in my grave because there's black There's black hobbits in the new Lord of the Rings show.
I mean, he was a product of his time, probably. So.
Well, like that's like been like
Is
a
that
big
why
thing.
there's so much racism between like elves and dwarves?
The fantasy genre in general, there's just so much casual racism between all the races.
Do you feel like Star Wars is like better? Certainly, the new High Republic stuff is like
the most liberal shit that you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, like they're trying to be super, which
PC,
is good.
PC gone mad.
Representation, right?
Yeah, but I think that anything that it's like this species of alien has these character traits, and that obviously that makes like the story interesting.
And then humans, are just like humans. Like there's
it's like how
good, bad, and in between.
In like sitcoms, like in the 90s, it's like all the fat schlubby dudes were like dating like super hot women. It's like, well, dudes are just guys. You know what I mean? They're just dudes. But women, like you need to look like this exact way. It's like
double standard.
All of the humans in Star Wars can have all the various traits, but all Trandoshans have to be like, I got this bloodlust in me that I can't satisfy.
Yeah.
It's they have to like stick to like their writing conventions.
But then if another species is written, I don't know, you would think that I guess this is a thing with all fantasy or sci-fi, is that like you would think that aliens would be more like Alien. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't be able to go inside the mind of like an Ithorian, for instance.
It's because like they would develop so differently from humans.
Yeah, like you wouldn't, like Ithorians wouldn't have like an awkward preteen phase, maybe. You know what I mean?
They're getting zits and being horny.
It's like it's like humans and Ithorians and like Wookiees shouldn't be able to like maybe relate as well as they do, just because they are aliens to each other.
Well, I think like the whole idea behind it is like there's so much space travel between all these planets that they basically
they know
it's
like
other.
Common knowledge, like how other species or races.
It's common knowledge that like Wookiees live in the forest and they fight America in the 1960s in Vietnam. But Zin the Despot, #1 OG cannibal, says Tolkien fought in World War I and passed in 1974.
There we go.
So when the fuck was The Hobbit written?
That's a good question.
I'm not like really part of like the Lord of the Rings fandom necessarily.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, obviously I know and like Lord of the Rings, but I don't get.
Have you read all three?
Yes. Well, not really.
You listen to it.
I get bored. I get a little bored when I read them. But what's his name? Andy Serkis came out with audiobooks for all three of them.
I would fuck with that.
I think in this last September, which I'm excited about because his voice is amazing.
Come on.
I mean,
he's Snoke.
He's Snoke.
He's Snoke. He's everyone's favorite character, Snoke.
How do you think, has he commented on his Snoke character?
I think that he Google Andy Serkis comments on Snoke, because I think that he had like mentioned that he was.
How do you spell his name? Is it S or
Serkis? Serkis.
Comments on Snoke.
So I wonder if they use if he got like royalties for like using his quote unquote likeness when he was in the jars.
Oh, because he did like a motion.
Because they just dipped him in water and let him
motion
float around.
capture for Snoke.
Yeah,
that's what it's called, right?
Yeah,
like how he did Gollum and all that.
But he's like not in episode 9, just like his disembodied floating corpse was.
Right. So would he get royalties for that?
That's what I was wondering, because it's like not technically him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was devastated when I read the script because it was all going so well. I was like, man, this is a boss character I'm going to love playing. What? You kidding me? What? I was like, okay. Is it a good idea? I suppose that it is. I was slightly mortified, pardon the pun. It was all in the right, I think. I loved playing the character, and I love the face-off scene between Kylo and Rey, so it was great. I mean, the problem with those movies is definitely not the acting in them is so good. Like episode 8 has like the best performances for sure.
Yeah, Adam Driver kills it, but it's just, I don't know. Do you like how Kylo Ren was written, sort of, or
not in episode 9 for sure?
Well, that's all over the place.
Because I feel like he was being written to be the main
just
bad.
His general like ethos. Do you like that he was so angsty?
What I would say
Like, did that fit? Is what I'm saying. In your opinion.
So what I'll say to like people who are like really big fans of like the prequels and stuff like that, and the big criticism about Anakin Skywalker when those movies were coming out from like original trilogy fans was they're like, well, this Anakin Skywalker character is so like edgy. You know what I mean? They're like, oh my god, he's just like killing sand people or whatever. It's just so extreme. Now prequel fans are saying that same thing about Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
But I would argue that Kylo Ren and Anakin Skywalker both have rational reasons for being psychopaths. Because Ben Solo had Snoke, young, sexy Snoke, talking in his head like his whole childhood or whatever. And, I mean, his parents were like two famous people. Like, internationally. They were both...
that messes kids up.
I mean, yeah, it's like you're from like a very prestigious, well-known family, and then it comes out that they're all related to Vader, and so
true. Yeah.
I can definitely see like how that would like fuck a kid up, how that would make a kid like a sociopath.
Yeah.
So I think the characterization makes sense. I just don't necessarily like, because what I was expecting out of episode 9 is that Kylo Ren was going to be like the main villain.
Yeah, see, I kind of wanted that too. Like, I didn't really need or want like a redemption arc for him.
Yeah, I thought that like episode 8's like subversion of tropes was interesting in the sense that in episode 7 you're like, oh, maybe this guy will get a redemption arc. I would argue the moment he blasted his own dad through the chest with the lightsaber, was like, oh, that's it for this guy.
Right.
But I thought like in episode 8 it was like building towards, oh, this guy's gonna be redeemed, and then Snoke will be the main villain. And then when he turns, I was like, okay, that's a good commitment to that. Like that's like a good idea. That you think this guy's gonna turn back to like being a good guy, but at the 11th hour, he's like, nah, I still just want to be a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought that was like an interesting take on it. But all like we've said countless times, like personally and on the podcast, episode 9 just kind of shits on all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andy Serkis got like done really dirty because they really,
I mean, they all did.
They really played up like his this is the thing I noticed last time when we were streaming is my neck got really sore. So I'm gonna like full on like move my body.
There you go.
Here we go.
Like face more this way.
Yeah, just like look right at you, you know what I mean?
Your neck was sore after last
like after like dude, like when I was going to bed, like the night after, I was like, oh fuck, like my
really?
So I just like had my whole head torqued like that.
Interesting.
But
yeah, I'm just chilling. I'm just
dude,
comfy.
you got the Chad side. That's what's like I was like noticing. I was like, man, I'm looking like double chinny here. And then I sat in your chair and I was looking at myself like to get focus. And I was like, no wonder fucking Zach's got like a chiseled looking jaw on this shit. I was like, I look like I have a chiseled jaw over here.
I'm more like straight on to the camera.
That's
I don't know.
And I'm like profiled, which is like everyone's like worst nightmare is being profiled. But yeah, I look like this angle sucks. But
you're good.
Which is funny because I chose this side.
You chose it
like a fucking idiot.
Or did it just happen?
It just happened
like
organically.
When you're establishing sides of the bed with a significant other.
Yeah.
Like, do you choose that or does it just happen?
Well, with my wife, it definitely was chosen. She's like, I don't sleep next to the window because then I'm gonna get cold. Like, well, then I'm gonna be cold. She's like, yeah. I'm like, awesome.
You gotta take
Thanks.
one for the team.
Yeah, apparently. But yes, like I remember like building up to episode 7, Andy Serkis and J.J. Abrams was like, oh, Snoke's like this ancient, like cool being. He's gonna have like this interesting backstory, and then none of that came to fruition.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, I would give, like, probably a couple of like uncles on my dad's side to know what I had to specify my dad's side, but to like know like what Andy Serkis was told about his character, whatever J.J. Abrams was like. Here's like the plan that I have, kind of like where I think your character would go.
Yeah. Like
I would be super just to be flying a wall, like in those conversations. Do you remember like that famous like press photo that came out of their first table read?
Yeah, that black and white like round table discussion or whatever.
I would be so interested to like listen in
was
on that
he
conversation.
In on that?
Yeah,
was he in that photo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in there somewhere.
Okay.
That was like right around the time that the Planet of the Apes movies ended. Those movies are fucking good. If you ever seen those?
A long time ago. Probably the first one.
That first one's the only bad one. Because,
Yeah, that might have been the only one I saw.
like, whoever was James Franco's agent at that point in time, they should have just told him, hey, man, if you didn't want to do this movie, you don't have to do it. Because he was just, like, taking every role and just, like, really shitting it up. But, round table photo.
Okay. Or what would I... There it is.
Yep,
there it is.
Andy Serkis has got to be in there.
This was the photo, right? Hold on.
Yeah, just click on, like, the... Open image in new tab.
Oh,
It's
no,
so
it's
tiny.
so tiny. We're gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, he's in there for sure.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill lost so much fucking weight to be in these movies.
Was he huge back before?
I mean, he used to be, like, pretty bulbous. I'm not gonna lie.
There it is.
There's Mark Hamill.
Okay. And where's Andy Serkis?
I think he's...
That's kind of a blur.
I think he's, like, right up there next to J.J. Abrams.
Okay. I see Mark over there. I see Adam Driver.
And I cannot believe that they
Wow,
convinced
Adam
Harrison
Driver
Ford.
looks young in that. I mean...
That was, like... Fucking how long ago was that movie come out?
Yeah.
Forever ago.
There's Harrison Ford.
Ooh.
Daisy Ridley, yeah.
That was, like, before she had been in anything.
I remember looking at that before 7 came out.
Oh, fucking and Chewbacca's right over there. I can't remember the guy's name. But, I would love to, like, hear what J.J. Abrams' original idea was for the sequel trilogy movies, like, to see, like, where they would go. Because there's no way the guy was just like, we're just going to make these and then... I'm just going to make this first movie and then I don't care what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
There had to have been some thought after that.
I mean, why switch directors? Is that just a thing that's done now? Like Marvel. Do Marvel...
I don't know what the fuck Marvel's up to these days.
Marvel has like a million movies, so of course not one guy's gonna have the vision.
I think I'm ready for that whole franchise and IP to collapse.
I mean, I got burnt out like after the first 3 Marvel movies.
The first Avengers movie is no good. Like, I remember leaving that movie and thinking, like, that movie fucking sucked.
Well, I was never a Marvel guy in general. So.
You were adamantly anti-Marvel when we talked about it last time.
It just became this, like, I don't know. And speaking of Marvel, I mean, they're owned by this Star Wars and Marvel now. It's essentially the same company, and it's starting to feel like the same vision. You know what I mean?
I think that's why, like, Mandalorian was such, like, a breath of fresh air. Was that it didn't feel like... It just didn't feel like you were run-of-the-mill Star Wars Marvel shit. Like, somebody didn't need to say, like a quippy line. I know it's, like, a really common criticism of Marvel stuff, but...
Yeah.
It's a criticism because it's true.
I mean, yeah, that's the whole, like...
Tony Stark used to be, like, the straight... like jokester, like he would be like quipping left and right and everybody else was like annoyed that he did it, and
now everybody
is fucking Tony Stark.
Yeah,
everybody is like the same character.
Yeah. And they play all the jokes in the trailers, so you know them all already.
Yeah, you already know them all. And like those movies are basically unwatchable in private. Like, I watched like some scenes from the latest Spider-Man movie without like a crowd actively cheering for them.
People said that was a pretty
it's really good in a theater experience.
Yeah, okay.
Like, if you're watching it like on like your phone in between like a break at your Arby's shift or whatever, it's like weird. Like, they had like pauses and breaks like in between dialogue, like you would have like in a filmed in front of an audience sitcom.
So if they end up doing another full length like Star Wars movie, are we gonna get that? Are we gonna get more of that?
I hope not.
Or are we gonna
Jesus
get
Christ.
more of like a Mandalorian vibe? I would hope for the Mandalorian vibe, but
Mandalorian season 1 I would like a lot.
yeah.
Mandalorian season 2 it was like kind of rough to get through, like on a second watch. I tried watching it again.
Yeah.
But I think that Rian Johnson would legitimately make a good trilogy of Star Wars movies that are not connected to anything else.
Yeah.
I think that would be like
if he had sole control over it.
Yeah, it was just his story, completely brand new, like 100 years in the past.
Yeah.
Like, not related to anybody from any of the.
Because he can make a good movie.
Oh yeah, Knives Out is fucking excellent.
I saw that. Yeah, that's
so good. I fucking love that movie. That's
that
like
came
a
out
who.
after episode 8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a who done it that I can continuously watch like over and
Yeah.
over again. Like I had a really good time watching that movie. But because this is like really old news, but remember like the dudes who made Game of Thrones, they originally had like
Oh yeah.
some like a trilogy planned, and then
for Star Wars.
yeah, and then season 8 came out, and
Yeah.
Disney was like, maybe not.
What is the deal with the movies? Are we getting those? Like, what they've announced all those shows, right?
Dude, it's like that. I think that
Have you heard any news on that? You're a little bit better at keeping up on
Yeah.
Star Wars news.
the thing that like about Star Wars these days that makes it just feel like dead, like its soul has died, is people are getting like their news about like when Star Wars shows or Star Wars media is coming out in general from like stockholder meetings. Like Kathleen Kennedy will come out with like a giant projector and she's like, here's our list of like 20 shows that we're going to be making so that the investors will make money or whatever. Guess what? I'm a Disney investor and the fucking stock price goes down every goddamn day. So what's the fucking point? But yeah, like that's like that image, you know, that image that's like the acolyte, like the Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
That was like at like a shareholders meeting.
Uh,
That wasn't
so
even like,
that's where we're getting the leaks and the info from.
yeah, it's like, how does that like not just feel like soulless?
Yeah.
Like completely like devoid of
It's
actual meaning.
It's just like, yeah.
So I like that's my whole thing with like current Star Wars is
I feel like we shit on Star Wars a lot
yeah.
for having a Star Wars podcast. I feel I yeah, it's like we just don't like the direction it's going, but we are like OG Star Wars fans where we love the universe.
Yeah,
And we're
I just had the
excited-
feeling of
We're
being in Star
excited to
Wars.
have like that. You know when you first played like KOTOR 1
Oh god, yeah.
and you just had that like, oh man, this is
Well, a part
Star
of me
Wars.
wonders if that's because we were kids and we had more free time to like not think about, oh, I got this bill coming due or whatever. Like you could just like envelop yourself in this like in this world or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think, and that's like why I would say that you and I both really enjoy the comic books and the books is because they feel like there's still some soul there,
Yeah.
like Charles' soul. But it feels like somebody actually still cares about like what the lore is and what the overall feeling of it is.
Yeah. Yeah, Star Wars to me is about that like not so much the sense of like epic space opera, but sort of I like the mysticism sort of like this universe
Oh yeah.
and like sort of the mystery of like, I mean, we're big Force boys.
Oh, yeah.
We love the Jedi Sith stuff, so.
That's like we talked about this a little bit last time. That's why I love all the Rakata shit with Revan, and that's what I thought. Like when SWTOR first like was announced, I thought that's like what would have been really interesting is it's like, ooh, there's like this mysterious, like unknown like force out in the unknown region somewhere. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, I was like, give me some of that like anthropological, like Star Wars shit. You know what I mean?
Which is why you were disappointed by the whole Emperor
Yeah.
arc in that.
Vitiate. Fucking dumb.
I'm not opposed to Vitiate. I don't know why. Why are you? He's just too overpowered.
It's we talked about this a bit last time.
We're jumping around a lot here, by the way.
Yeah, but the whole Vitiate thing is like we said last time is I just liked when Revan just was at war and he became a Sith Lord because he just saw the horrors of war and it just slowly made him that or whatever. But the original,
But like Vitiate just as himself, not so much as it relates to Revan. You know what I mean? Like, is it? I mean, the Emperor was. I mean, Palpatine was powerful, right? Like,
yeah, but he wasn't like godly powerful like Vitiate was.
he was just like super cunning, I guess, to hide himself from the Jedi and orchestrate like this war that he benefited from ultimately. Like,
Well, I think that's why I like Palpatine and I dislike vitiate so much.
Because he was like more crafty about it.
Because like Palpatine, it seems like he was not just powerful as like a Sith Lord, but he's also like hyper intelligent.
Yeah.
And Vish is just like, I just have planet clearing powers where I can just like wipe out an entire planet. But the Force like felt like more wild back then, like at that point in like Star Wars, like history, like in their timeline or whatever. Outside of the fact that it's just like a video game, but like also just like the things that like just Jedi and Sith like did back then. Because you know how it's like in SWTOR they talk about, like in KOTOR too, like Tula Cord was such powerful like swordsman that he would make current Jedi and Sith look like children playing with toys.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were like closer to like the Force than Jedi and Sith were like in the prequels and sequels and all that other stuff.
Do you think that's true, or do you think that like
I think that's like kind of
just
supposed
like
to be with the
different eras, so different like understandings of the Force, maybe?
And it's like some of that might get lost like in mythos.
Yeah, exactly.
Like some of that might get like lost as like legends and like tales of. I mean, because like Tula Cord's not going to write a book where he's like, yeah, that's pretty good with the sword.
Well, kind of how like Luke. What does Luke have to go off of after like Return of the Jedi? You know what I mean? Like Yoda's gone, Obi-Wan's gone.
That's what I'm excited about with that new book, is finding out.
Yeah.
Because Luke has like really nothing to go off of. He's just like kind of guessing.
Shadow of the Sith, right? That's what we're talking about? Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm excited to see. Oh, fuck, this might be like a little bit of a spoiler for the comic book that you're reading. But
the Vader.
Yeah, have you gotten to the part where like what happens with Jocasta-Nu and stuff?
Yeah.
And did you see like that like flash forward to Luke?
Oh yes.
So
does that come back?
It hasn't yet, to my knowledge.
Okay.
But he like finds that library.
Yeah.
So like I
remember that.
Because I know that like they're always trying to like build towards like how does Luke train his Jedi Order? Oh God, I just like slowly.
Are you doing all right there, Grandpa?
All my bones are scraping together.
I guess so.
But that's sort of what I wanted out of the sequels, was just seeing how like the new Jedi Order operated. So I think we're getting a little bit of that in that Shadows of the Sith book, is because.
You think so?
Because I think that Ben's a student at that point in time.
I was gonna ask that. We didn't get much from that little blurb about it, or that intro.
Well, because I think that
we were just fighting ring wraiths the whole time.
I know that Ben is Luke's first student. I guess outside of Leia, I suppose.
Oh yeah, that was in.
That's another
9?
like.
Was that 9 or 8?
Yeah, it was 9. It was like another brushed over. Like, hey, just don't think about it. We're just gonna smooth right over that. She was a Jedi, and off screen without saying anything because Carrie Fisher was dead at the time. Oh, if I become a Jedi, my kid's gonna go bad, which he did anyways. So, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
But I want to see more of Ben being trained when he's younger.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Just to flesh out more of like why he would fall to the dark side. Because the reason why so many people had a problem with it in episode 8 was because it's touched on, but it's like very brief.
Well, it was let's see. He thought Luke was killing him, so he laughed.
Fair.
But Luke was, wasn't he?
He thought about it for a minute.
And then he was taking it back by the time Kylo saw him. Wasn't that how it happened?
Which, I mean, like, I don't know if like you could, if you were sleeping and I like broke into like your house, and I just had like a knife like over above you, and you woke up and I was like, oh, but I didn't mean it though.
Yeah,
it's like
I thought about it, but
I was thinking about it for a second there until like I saw your eyes and I was like, I don't know if I can go through with this. It's like that doesn't feel like it counts as going back on it.
So what does that say about Luke at that point?
Apparently, he's also fucking insane.
Yeah,
just like his dad and his nephew.
Like that's kind of an insane thing to do.
I mean, it's like that wasn't even like where he was. Like, I'm assuming he lived in the main temple, so he had to leave the main temple, grab his lightsaber, walk over to Ben Solo's hut, stand above him when he was sleeping, and ignite his lightsaber to like think about killing him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of steps removed between
That's
step 1 and step
right?
2. Like, he must have been thinking about that for a while.
Yeah.
Because I mean, my assumption isn't that he was just like, I'm just walking around the ground. I'm gonna go watch my nephew sleep for a minute. I'll check on his dreams. Oh my god, he's insane. Like, I'm assuming he had been feeling that Ben was like going evil.
Well, yeah, that's what kind of was implied, right?
Yeah, it's like the implication, but I feel like a lot of sequel defenders like brush over the premeditation of that. They're just like, well, he like regretted it and he didn't want to do it, and he knew there was a moment of weakness. I was like, but a moment of weakness, a moment. The guy like had to like think about this and plan it out and like go to his like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of steps. Like, if I was like thinking about murdering you, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna walk over to his house and just see how I feel about it when I get there.
Yeah, I'll decide once I'm like over him.
I'll go and I'll listen in on how he's sleeping, and I'll think to myself, yeah, I should do it. It's. I think that's like people who really hate this, like episode 8. They're just thinking about it more than people who are than people who like really love it.
Yeah.
Like they're delving more into like the psychology of Luke try to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And I saw other people like on Reddit. They were like, well, Ben was like a 22-year-old man. I'm like, how the fuck's it make it okay to try and like kill him?
I mean, no matter
He's
what.
lived a rich, full life.
As in, like, he's an adult, so it's more okay or something.
Well, because like I remember like I was saying something about it, and I was like, well, I think it's like pretty insane that Luke like was trying to kill like his kid nephew. Somebody's like, well, he was like 22. Like, well, how the fuck old are you that you think that 22 is super old?
Yeah.
Are you 15? Like, you think that 22 is like you've peaked? You're not gonna go any further above that. Like, if my life ended at 22. Holy shit. I would have had the worst fucking, like, adulthood imaginable. I was such a shithead when I was 22. That's like, Kylo Ren was probably just 22. He's like, oh, I'm legally allowed to drink now? And I'm going to be a shithead to my girlfriend or some stuff?
So the question is, you want to know what led Ben to that place, ultimately, where Luke thought that, right? Do we get that in the...
I mean, a little bit in that Rise of Kylo Ren stuff, but... like I was saying last time, it's like very brief in the sense that you can like see like Ben talking to Snoke mentally, and he's like, oh, I don't want to fucking be here, and Snoke's like, it'd be like cool if you were here with me on my forest planet.
Okay, so Snoke is sort of the reason.
Like they're like, well, technically Palpatine would be the reason.
I guess. Oh my god.
I love how dead you got behind the eyes. Yeah. But like I would want to see like early Ben stuff and like seeing like how, because Han Solo mentions in episode 7, oh well, Snoke just got to him and like we couldn't do anything about it. It's like, well,
does he say that explicitly?
Yeah, he does say that.
Oh.
So like, how do you know that? Like, did Ben say, hey, I'm hearing this old guy talk in my head, and nobody's like, let's throw this kid into a volcano immediately? Or like, was he like seeking out help? He was like, I'm actually hearing this guy's voice in my head, and I need to talk to somebody about it.
Did they just ignore it?
They're like, whatever. Like, whatever.
Go away.
They're like, you're getting your first boner. You're just going through your hormone changes.
Yeah, maybe that all would have made sense way more if they would have just like fleshed that out a little bit more. But
how are you gonna do that like in one movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I would want to see like some stuff about that, but like, when did Luke and Han and Leia like find out about that? Also, how the fuck did they find out about the First Order? Because it's like established like in episode 7 that they are all aware of the First Order, and like the New Republic is aware that they exist, and
they seem real powerful too.
Well, they seem like they're a ragtag group of like Imperial remnant, and then in episode 8 they're a galaxy-wide fucking government.
Yeah.
That we talked about this a little bit like in our personal lives, where we're like, is this like galaxy-wide? Does like the whole galaxy like feel like the effects of the First Order, or are people on Corellia like, did you hear the news about like that crazy shit going on in the Outer Rim? Like these dudes are blowing each other up out there.
Yeah.
Like, is it I mean, because like in
'Cause
episode
the galaxy's big, right?
Galaxy's big.
Presumably.
and the First Order is supposed to be really small, and they blow up like the Hosnian
and
Prime
what's going
system
on
or whatever.
Coruscant? Do we know?
We never hear anything about what's going on in
Why?
Coruscant. I think because J.J. Abrams just hated the prequels, and he viewed that as like the prequel planet because like every movie,
Right.
the prequels has like
it's very centered on Coruscant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that's where all the politics is happening.
Yeah.
Apparently, he wanted to blow up Coruscant in Episode 7
Really? Because
But-
he hated it that much.
because he hated it that much. So that's what like
Dude, that would be like, gosh.
I don't know how
Forget
people would,
Alderaan. like-
I don't know how people would have reacted to that
Yeah.
because like I mean
Star Wars over.
yeah, like you never even see Alderaan's like planet surface in
Yeah.
Episode 4. It just gets blown up. Like Coruscant's like a beloved planet. Even if like you don't even necessarily like the prequels, like you find Coruscant interesting.
Yeah.
So I wonder how people would have reacted if he did blow up Coruscant. Because I don't think as many people hate the prequels as like J.J. Abrams thinks they do.
Yeah. No, I like them.
I would go so far as to say you love them. Because you really like Episode
complicated.
3. How do you feel
It's-
about Episode 2? Have we ever talked about that?
Yeah. I mean, I would say Episode 2 has some of the most awkward moments just because of all that Anakin Padme stuff. like when she's wearing that black dress and they're in that room, you know.
And she's like, I don't want to bang, but I'm going to wear like, the sexiest dress you've ever seen.
It's just like so cringy. But I do like a lot of the stuff out of that movie. Like all the I'm just a slut for lightsaber stuff. So.
It's just seeing all of, like the Jedi's lightsabers ignite on
No,
Geonosis.
I know you, because that was when we first saw Yoda fight as well.
I fucking hate that.
And I know you don't like that, but I actually do kind of like that.
I know you feel that
I
way.
mean, he's a Jedi, and that's like,
But he's like a million years old, and it's like it goes against everything that Yoda is.
no. My conception of Yoda is that like he's so strong in the Force that, you know, he has ways. Yes, he like comes across as old. He has like that cane, but like he knows ways to like manipulate his body in such a way that he can be nimble when he wants to, like easily, just because he's that powerful. You know what I mean?
I guess
He just doesn't choose to do it all the time because he. I mean, I see him as like humble and like wise and
he doesn't want to
powerful.
make other people feel bad about his lightsaber skills.
Well, I mean, presumably he could just be walking around doing flips. Like,
He's just torpedoing through the Jedi Temple.
I mean, why not?
Well, because like Anakin
He
has that.
chooses to like use a cane. I don't know,
I have to believe his bones are scraping together.
but that's what I'm saying. He is so powerful in the Force that he has techniques to like preserve his body in those moments when he does need to act out. Isn't that a cool thought? Like
I guess it's just
yes, like normally he's walking around like an old man because like when I think of Jedi or how Jedi maybe are supposed to act, like they're not like flaunting their powers and doing like backflips everywhere they go.
I would be if I was a Jedi.
We would be.
Dude, I would be like jump. If I was like annoyed with traffic, I would just jump over all of it. It's like insane to me that people aren't doing that all the time. Because Anakin is like, oh, if Master Obi-Wan saw me doing this, you'd be very unhappy with me. And I'm like, for floating a pear? He'd be
Yeah.
mad at with you for floating a pear around?
I know, right?
I'm like,
Well,
Obi-Wan
yeah.
sounds like a dick.
Well, that was it was an awkward example because he's just awkward in that movie, but that's a good example. Like the reason he would be mad is because he's flaunting powers like for seemingly no reason.
And he's trying to bang somebody.
Well, that was the reason actually, because he wants to bang Padme.
There's
but-
actually like a comic book. Fuck, what? I can't remember which comic book it was. But Obi-Wan flies to... It may have been in the Republic comic book. Obi-Wan flies to Naboo because Anakin gets like... He's got his PTO in from the war. So he's like, I'm going to take some time off and go do something else. Don't ask me what it is. But he goes to Naboo to like hang out with Padme. Obi-Wan shows up and he's like, everybody in the Jedi Order knows that you would have been here. I'm like, so everyone knows they're banging? Like everyone knows that Padme and Anakin are banging? Because it's got to be so painfully obvious that they're banging.
I mean, they straight up just like live together in episode 3, right?
He's like always over at an apartment.
Yes.
How strict are the Jedi rules?
Do people just not talk about it?
I think it was like one of those like things that, so you know when you have like a family secret, everyone knows about it, but no one brings it up. Like you got an aunt who's
there
maybe
were
a little
other
too
Jedi
into.
who were married though, weren't there? Maybe
I
not,
mean,
maybe not in that era.
There's the famous example. Everyone knows him. Everyone knows him. The pipe laying Ki-Adi-Mundi,
True.
who got to bang all over his home planet because their population was dying off.
Well, I guess Luke and Mara, but like that's way later. And
I
like,
think that
he's doing his own
Ki-Adi-Mundi
thing.
was
I don't
on the
know.
Jedi Council when that happened, so he was like, well, my vote is that I get to go and spray spum all over the place. So if I got a say in this, answer is yes. I love that thought. That the Jedi
Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Council's like, should we let this guy go and bang? And he's like, if I got a vote, answer's yes. But like that's what I liked about like Luke's New Jedi Order, is that it's like he knew that like the Jedi rules were like limiting on Anakin, and well, A, he was a sociopath, and B, like the strictness of the Jedi Order, he was a slave on Tatooine, then he was just a slave to the Jedi Order after that.
Yeah.
So like he never had like true freedom. I mean, that dude's life fucking sucked. He was a slave on Tatooine.
Yeah.
So, like he couldn't do what he wanted to
And
do,
then
be
he
the way
was
he
a
wanted to be.
slave to this basically order of monks.
Yeah, and then he was just a slave to Palpatine afterwards.
Yeah.
So his life was just wall to wall terrible.
Yeah, in service like to somebody always.
It's like when you read like the origin story of like some serial killer, and like they fell when they were like 5 and like really damaged their brain, and then their consciousness was just gone for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
It's like you feel bad for that kid who was 5 and broke their brain, but you don't feel bad for the adult serial killer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I feel bad for like Anakin that his life was so fucking terrible, but it's like once you cross over the precipice of like chopping kids in half, you've officially breached that.
I guess he's just straight up evil at that point, but
he feels really bad about it.
he got redeemed.
He was really sorry about it. It's the Catholic version of redemption, where you're just like, Adolf Hitler was like, well, I'm really sorry.
As long as you say the prayer before you die.
As long as you do your rosaries, you're good. That was like another interesting conversation I was
and
into.
he comes back as a young ghost.
That's my favorite part about that is Obi-Wan's still gray pubes and Anakin's like, what up?
The first time Obi-Wan saw Anakin's ghost, he was like,
He's like, fuck off. He's like, why? How? He's like, I'm this forever. And you're a young dude.
Yoda's like 50-year-old Yoda. No, that would be a baby, I guess.
How does their aging work?
What was he, 900, right? When he died?
So like by like Grogu conventions, like I'm assuming 5 is like 2 years old in Yoda, because like he can't talk, he like isn't really great at walking around.
Oh, Grogu?
Yeah.
So 50 is our equivalent of 2.
So how the fuck is Yoda 900, but he's like a million-year-old man?
But species could have different like aging processes, I guess.
But that feels like a cop out. It's like it's gonna be like a next season Grogu's like a teenager. He's like, shut up, Dad, I don't wanna be a Mandalorian. I don't give a shit that our planet got blown up. He's crossing it, looking in the back, listening to his Green Day tapes.
Oh man.
I really want to understand like their aging convention, because Yoda's 900 in episode 6, and boy does he feel every single second of his age.
They just did it that way so that they could say in that first episode the target is 50 years old, and we could all be like, okay, that checks out.
It was like, I'd be cool with this guy blowing up a 50-year-old.
and then that way they could have the big reveal of like.
I will say this about that show, that legitimately blew my fucking mind. Like in that first
Baby Yoda,
when Baby Yoda showed up, I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I was not expecting that.
I was stoked on it. Yeah.
That like actually like
I was stoked on it.
I was like, is this what Star Wars feels like? I was
Yeah.
like, is this what it feels like to like something in Star Wars?
That's a KOTOR moment.
That's a
Let's call it KOTOR moments.
it's a real Revan moment.
That's right.
It's a real heated Revan moment.
When the Revan reveal in KOTOR 1, that was my
I think you had played
epic
KOTOR
Star
before
Wars
I
moment.
did, and you watched me play it. And when Revan, like when he was going to take off his mask, you were like,
peeking over at you.
because I think that game came out maybe like right before we met.
When did that come out?
It's like 2005 or some shit, and we met in 7th grade,
I feel like that came out back when I was living in
like South Dakota or something.
South Dakota. Yeah.
Do you guys collect Star Wars stuff? Do you how do you manage your collections? How do you pick / choose?
Oh, you were the one to speak on this.
So the way so if you can
Right
see
there,
up here,
July 15th, 2003.
holy shit, dude, we were so young and full of life.
That is the KOTOR 1 release date. Yeah, I had
So KOTOR 2 must have been 2005 then.
Yeah, that was I had just moved here, I guess. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But
To the basement, I mean. I had just
Austin
moved to the basement.
Didario, I don't know how to say your last name, man. I'm sorry. Asked how do so these epic collections up here, I just
Oh yeah.
the moment they come out, I buy them, because if I don't get them the second they come out, they're gonna be like $300 on eBay like 2 months later.
Yeah.
Outside of like the Marvel, like the original Marvel years, or the newspaper ones, no one gives a shit about those. So like you can find those like at any comic book shop.
Yeah.
But the way that I go about like buying not Marvel comics, but like Star Wars comics online is if there's like a story arc that I was really interested in that I don't have currently, like the Dark Times is a good example. They have like 5-issue arcs. So what I would do is I would go on eBay, find somebody that has all 5 of those, buy all 5 of those from that guy, buy all 5 of them from the next person, yada yada, whatever. So my Legends comic book collection is getting like pretty fucking large. And
I'm for it.
we had talked about that like one other time, is all those like legacy issues that I have.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in such pristine condition that I have to believe that the person that sold them to me had like a degenerative heart disorder or something like that. And they're just like, I just got to make money off these things because he sold them to me for so cheap. It was like $5 an issue. Like that's like what it would have broken down to.
Did he just not know? I mean,
There's no fucking way, because like
not know.
the first issue that I have, like issue 0 of Legacy.
Yeah.
Sorry, issue 1 of Legacy.
You're talking about the compendiums, right?
No, I'm talking about single issues.
Oh, okay.
So I bought like the one that I got off that guy was a first edition, like Darth Talon appearance, which on eBay that single issue by itself will go for like $400. Just that one issue.
Wow.
And it's a first edition, so it's like a first printing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this guy must have like broken a leg or some shit, and he just like really needed to pay for his surgery or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when were we in the fucking 8th grade? When we were in the 7th grade? What year was that?
Oh gosh.
I'm working backwards from when we graduated.
9. So. God, you're asking me to do math.
Our brains are melting.
Okay, that would be 05, I guess.
Yes, like you had definitely
4 or
played
5.
that. You definitely played that game before we met.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So like when I was playing it, you were just like living vicariously through me.
Yeah, I know.
Playing it. Did we play KOTOR 2 at the same time?
That's a good question. I don't feel like it. I mean, I played that one just. No, actually, I didn't play that one as much. I was just doing KOTOR 1 over and over again.
I really like KOTOR 2 a lot.
KOTOR 2, it was good, yeah.
You know what we should do for the channel?
The battle mechanics were
yes. In like Force...
they gave you way more to do, I guess.
Is it Force Crush? Is that in both games? Like where like you destroy like a dude's neck?
I feel like that was only in 2.
But what we should do for the channel, live stream at one time, is play through... Somebody did like someone like dug into the game files at KOTOR 2. And
yeah, because there was a bunch of deleted
planets and
content
shit.
because
So-
they were trying to like rush it out.
Which is like insane because it's still a great game. Even
Yeah.
for like being rushed out. Like
Yeah.
it's still incredible. So we at one point in time we should get all those other things and play through it on the channel.
Mm,
Because there's like a robot planet they like invented like for KOTOR 2.
nice.
It's like every person
Yeah.
there is like a droid.
Yeah, I don't know about
Every person there is that what that you would say how
Every-
you would say that?
Yeah, not being
Person?
I don't know. Are droids people?
It's hard to tell.
Is C-3PO a person at this
So
point?
that's like something that like I was actually curious about. So like I was doing some research on it, and apparently that's why they wipe droids' memories so they don't gain sentience. How fucked up is that?
It is a little fucked up.
It's
'Cause-
very fucked
Because
up.
like C-3PO and R2-D2, I mean, they're so like we know them, we love them. Like I can't imagine that the people in Star Wars feel any different. Maybe Han Solo, but
Yeah, he just like outright hates them.
yeah.
Yeah.
But aside from him, I can't imagine like they wouldn't have some sort of. It seems like they're programmed that way.
Well, because it's like Luke treats R2 and C-3PO like they're
in
people,
episode 9, we have the death of,
and none of them gave a shit
of
about C-3PO.
C-3PO.
They're like, okay, hurry it up, like stop talking now so we can wipe your memory.
It's like, does nobody in Star Wars like have a heart for like?
I mean, they treat them like they're like cell phones.
I mean, yeah, I guess they are technically just machines, but
They're like, this cell
They-
phone's full of
that's-
furry porn. I
that's
better
not-
wipe the memory.
that's not the way that they're like programmed to feel, in my opinion.
I mean, they're programmed to like, but that's like a certain point of like,
I mean,
at
I
what
guess it
point are
depends on the
you?
droid,
At
but-
what point is it sentient or is it just imitating sentience? You know what I mean?
We're getting to some deep philosophy here.
Like I love that. Like I love that's the stuff about like hard science fiction that I really
Yeah.
love.
But
is-
Star Wars never covers that.
No, they're just like, don't worry about it. They're
Maybe,
just
maybe like some niche like comics
maybe.
like touch on it a bit, but like in the main line like movies or TV shows, we don't get. I mean, that's why Star Wars it really isn't like sci-fi. I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely fantasy.
it's like space opera fantasy.
It's because like
stuff.
in like fantasy stuff, you're not really thinking about like the court jester who's just like being kicked around and like thrown into pits or whatever. You're just like,
yeah,
oh, it's just like the guy that everyone bullies. That's C-3PO is that guy.
yeah.
And like in hard science
He
fiction,
was comedic relief.
you know what else I'm like really into? Is like a really weird, far flung like future shit. So
That's why you like the legacy stuff.
so even beyond that, there's this
You're talking about real world or Star Wars here?
like just like hard science fiction.
Okay.
There's like this like internet like short story called God damn, what the fuck is it called? All Tomorrows. And it's like this a billion years in the future, like what mankind would look like type thing. And there's like this weird race called the Q. They're like godlike beings, and like human beings have like more or less like gotten to godlike levels of science. And like questions like that, like what's the future of mankind? Like what does
Yeah, I love
humanity
thinking about that
look
shit.
like in the future and stuff like that. I was telling Kylie the other day, I was like, you know what I've like weirdly been thinking about a lot, like as like a shower thought
It's a
is
shower thought.
yeah, is if I went back in time, what time period would I go to?
It's a good question.
I think I would go back to like the Paleolithic era, like before mankind has like discovered penicillin and shit like that. And I would just bring a bunch of books with me about like water irrigation. And
You would just be a god.
I would just be, they would not be able to explain me to like a friend.
Honestly, they might kill you though, because like
so-
you would just be so other to them that they wouldn't know what to do.
They wouldn't even know how to wrap their minds around like my tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be like, what the
Well,
fuck?
Did they do?
I mean, if like not cavemen, but like early. I'm talking like first
well, the
civilizations.
intricacies of modern tattoos, yeah. But
Like, could you imagine how much it would blow someone's fucking mind if I went into their civilization and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put like a rope around this cow and tie a plow behind it, and we're just gonna bring this towards like a body of water. They'd be like, this is the most brilliant idea anyone's ever had.
I mean, you would have just like basically sped up us getting to the point where we're killing the planet with CO2 emissions.
Let's just speed run this. The way that I picture in my head is I do that everyone goes, we better give this guy all of our virgins.
Do you think that happens in Star Wars a lot? Where, I mean, it doesn't seem like, well, we get a lot of planets blowing up, but that's mainly like...
That's like a Tuesday in Star Wars.
Right?
That's something that happens in the Thrawn trilogy is like the Nogri, they were like just blissfully unaware of like all the other happenings outside of the like their own planet.
I mean, you would think that there has to be those. Well, Star Wars is a weird galaxy because like seemingly every single planet has something on it. You know what I mean? Whereas in our galaxy, it's like we've identified how many millions of,
we have
of exoplanets.
We have seven other planets that have nothing going on.
Yeah. Well,
they're like uninhabitable.
And all they identified, like, are they called exoplanets? Or, you know what I mean? Planets around other stars that we've identified.
Yeah. Other Earth-like.
Yeah, and nothing's
planets.
going on. But in Star Wars, like, you got Wookiees hanging out, you got Ewoks on moons.
Well, because that's like the theory of alien races. It's like, if we even interact with another alien race, the odds of us being able to like identify it as life would probably be pretty slim, because like they there's nothing saying they'd be humanoids,
right? Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, every alien species is humanoid in Star Wars,
except for like the jelly ones, because there's like what is Orbis Lin or whatever.
What is he?
He's just like a gelatinous blob in like a humanoid suit.
But like,
I love that he goes out of his way.
We're
That he's like,
we're gonna look this up.
He's like
Orbalin, isn't that his name?
Yeah, he's like, I still want to be able to hold a lightsaber.
Okay,
so I'm gonna get myself a scuba suit.
He's a Jedi Master in the High Republic.
Something like that.
Is that the first race we've seen?
There's like another race in like early Dark Horse stuff.
Orbalin, how do you say his name?
Oh, you spelled it as two words. It's just a one word.
Oh, okay.
I think Orbalin. Lin.
That one? I don't.
Yeah, click on that guy.
Okay. Let's see if it gives us his race. I know that they were inventing races.
I just had such a terrible. When you were like, let's see what if they have his race. I was like, Mexican.
Male Ugor.
See, he's like wearing like a scuba suit.
Yeah.
I'm like 90% positive my phone drifted down underneath of this couch like 10 minutes ago.
Are you gonna really do it while we're live?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I think it like fell.
That's all right. I zoomed us out anyway.
It fell.
It says Ugors were a sentient blob-like species that existed in the galaxy during the High Republic era. Archivists blob-like species. So is there a image of like an Ugor, or do they all wear these like weird suits?
The scuba suits. Look up.
Yeah, they were introduced in the High Republic.
There's like some other like jelly monsters in Star Wars before this too.
So it's basically your grandma.
Wait, is there like a Legends tab up there? Go up to the top of it.
I mean,
click on that Legends one.
Do they just have to include that
legally?
Legally.
What the fuck? Native to an unknown planet in the Paradise system.
Change their physical appearance and create a
aptly named Paradise Planet.
That's a great image.
Yeah, like I think that some of like this artwork that's on Wikipedia is just like fan drawings.
Right.
There's like space dragons in Star Wars as well, which I think like might be like an original like Marvel comic book strip. Echoes of the Jedi, Wizards of the Coast. Oh Jesus Christ!
Are we good?
Oh, let me click on this.
Technical verbal and technical difficulties.
I think I know what the problem is
here in the basement.
I definitely. Oh! Shut up! I don't know why you start playing immediately. I'm gonna delete you because I already got you backed up somewhere else. Joke's on you, bitch. This is like the loosest episode of.
This is very.
Ever done.
This is very not structured. Are we live still?
Yeah, we're still live.
Okay.
It's just here. here.
This was like our first episode that we ever did. Remember how
Somehow
rough that was?
Somehow this is still not as fucking as like terrible as that first episode was.
That first episode was pretty rough.
I gotta stand for a minute. Oh, but
Jeez, Grandpa, we
dude,
need to give you some stretch breaks there, Grandpa.
So like when I got oh, what the fuck? I think our stream may have went down. Oh no, it's back up. But when I got heat stroke at Disney, like I woke up and like all of my muscles were contracting. Like I was like, God, I need to stretch. But there's like a couple like Jelly Monster type races in Legends as well. One of them was like a Jedi Master, like during like the Tales of the Jedi era, and he was like a gelatinous blob.
Tales of the Jedi. Is
That's some Kevin J. Anderson shit, so I don't think about it too
Okay.
much. Because every time that you think about Kevin J. Anderson stuff, he gets a boner. So
Me?
you specifically no. Every time someone talks about Kevin J. Anderson, he gets bricked up.
Oh, he does. I told you this. I do remember liking that Jedi trilogy that he did.
We should do a reread of that.
I need to do a reread because that has been. I mean, I probably did that in middle school. I don't even know.
I remember you had those on your bookshelf.
Yeah,
Like when I
yeah.
first came over to your house, when we did the shittiest science experiment.
Yep.
Humanly
And the courtship of
imaginable.
Princess Leia and all those good ones.
Did you read that and did you like it?
I did read that too. I don't remember a lot about it though.
I think it's because it's like when you're that age, you don't feel like that time sink of like, God, I've just wasted 2 weeks of my fucking life reading this shit.
I don't know. I remember liking the whole Kip Duran thing though, even though he's like such a, I mean, bad dude, just blowing up.
And
like,
I'm of the opinion
I mean,
that
it's kind of like a Kylo Ren situation, I guess. But
I'm of the opinion that he sort of stays a bad dude the entire time. Like all throughout Legends, he's like still kind of a shitty dude. Like he's always arguing with Luke about. He's like, we just need to do some more like mean guy stuff. You know what I mean? Like he's always got like the most violent like outlook on something.
even after he's been like forgiven.
Even after he got off scot-free, he got off with less prison time than like a U.S. senator in the 60s, like killing a broad that he was like having an affair with. Like, dude got no fucking punishment for blowing up planets. Again, this goes back to our last point: is how is it like even a sane thought that an entire galaxy just goes,
where are the Nuremberg trials of the Star Wars?
dude? If there was a Nuremberg trial, they would have hung that dude 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
Because this isn't like one mistake where it's like, oh, I'm a governor and I did coke and like ran my car into like a building.
What planet did he blow up?
Fuck, I gotta Google this now. God damn you. Kip Duran, what did you blow up?
What did Kip Duran blow up?
What did
And how many other planets were blown up that day around the Star Wars galaxy?
But yeah, like so back to like our original point about like Star Wars species like not interacting with like outside sources or whatever. The Nogri were just like a peace loving. They were just, well, I should say they were like a warrior culture, but they were like just hanging out on their planet, and like the Galactic Civil War like came to their planet, and they like the Galactic, not the Galactic Alliance, but the rebels, and like won like the battle and just decimated their fucking planet because like Star Destroyers were falling out of space, which is something that's not touched on a lot in Star Wars. Is
What aspect?
when like a Star Destroyer falls to a planet's surface, it has to be like an apocalyptic event.
I mean, yeah, those things are massive.
They're fucking huge. Like if a
I guess it depends on how fast it's going.
well, I mean, it's not like they're pumping the brakes beforehand. Like they're all
Right.
getting off ship.
Right.
But they have like that one violin crew playing that song from the Titanic as they go down.
Near, far. Is that the one?
Yeah, but because it's like a meteor hits Earth, like that, like wiped out the dinosaurs, or so we think.
Yeah.
But I mean, imagine a Star Destroyer hitting the planet.
I mean, it's a good,
That would be the end of all civilization,
it's a good question.
except for roaches. Apparently they'll live through anything.
Yeah.
But that's like what happened to the Nogri was the war came to their planet. Like 90% of it's like uninhabitable. So they have like a grudge against like the rebels, and like they're all loyal towards like Vader's like they fucking love the guy because they're like, well, he came and like he like allowed us to do a yada yada whatever, and he like saved our population, which is like a fair point, you know, like if like all of like our state got wiped out by like a rebel force, and then the government came through and was like, hey, we're gonna give you guys like saline packs and like bandages and donate blood to you or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, I'm on the side of the government. So it's like a pretty like interesting dynamic in that book about how they interact and how they think about the Rebel Alliance. And the only reason why they like Leia is because they're like, oh, well, you're Vader's kid.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So like, we're cool with Vader.
They like identify her as like that, like Vader's daughter.
Because I think it's like well known at that point in time that they're like Vader's kids.
Yeah.
So the Nogri like let it slide that was like a general in like the Rebel Alliance.
Man, Vader's kids. Like, what if Hitler's kids were just walking around? Like,
I mean, there are people like related to Hitler, I think.
I mean, I guess.
How crazy of a fucking thought is that?
I don't know much about Hitler's extended family, I guess.
Well, it's because like it's like if one guy becomes like the Chancellor of Germany and does all the stuff that he did, and then it's like his cousin was like pretty good at making like shoes. Who are they gonna talk about at the family reunion?
Right.
Everyone's gonna sit there silently and go. So, anyways, Dieter Hitler over here, he cobbled a mean ass shoe the other day.
Mean ass shoe.
Like they're like people.
This is a World War II podcast now.
I would fucking be into it, man. I would talk about that all day. But like, just like imagine like if there was other Skywalkers, like it was like an extended family tree, and Vader was like the main thing. What do you think they would all talk about? I feel like the only thing you could talk about is the fact that one of you guys went like nuts and like idly sat by as your weird stepdad blew up your kid's planet.
They all become like super famous, I guess. Like Luke's like Jedi Master Extraordinaire, Leia's like this senator.
Even Han Solo, who like did not want to be famous at all, became famous.
Yeah.
Which I find hilarious.
Everybody in Star Wars has seen Star Wars.
Really in the sequels, they've all seen Star Wars.
Yeah. You're Han Solo.
What? Is that Leia Organa? I got your baseball card.
Is that Lando Calrissian?
I got all you guys' your baseball cards. I got you guys' pops. You know, that's all these things. I got that limited edition Mountain Dew with Luke on it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that. I got a text message from my wife here.
What? We don't answer those on this podcast.
She said, "Be careful when you come upstairs. Barb fixed the latch on the door."
Fix the latch? Are we allowed to get out?
I think if anything, we're more trapped in.
Oh, okay.
I think when she says she fixed the latch, I think she meant she put down the bars again.
The bars.
We were able to like venture into the main kitchen area to get our gallon of spoiled milk before.
That's over now.
Yeah, apparently that's over now. We're back to searching for rats in the basement.
I feel like we're really going off the rails here.
This was like a totally off the rails episode of In the Basement.
Is anybody even watching?
We have like 3 people in here.
Nice.
But yeah, that's what I always found that really interesting, that the Nogri are a civilization that was living totally fine without like external trade or any other governments. And then their just whole population gets wiped out except for like one village. Yeah, you gotta reread those books, man. They're really.
I do. There's so much that I'm meaning to reread now.
You've never read the Deceived book, right? So that's like gonna be your first time reading it.
Yeah, those Old Republic ones. I mentioned last episode. I'm gonna go through all of them, and we're gonna discuss them all after I'm done.
We'll try and sync them up and read them at the same time.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'd be down for that.
All right.
We do like a little book club.
Yeah,
a little book club. We'll get a glass of Pinot Grigio, and we'll send our kids off to their dad's house, and we'll all sit around and talk about the latest Dean Koontz book.
There you go. Dean Koontz. Next episode.
It's a Dean Koontz podcast.
What was that one? There was one book of his that I read. I don't remember the name of it. Odd Thomas. There you go.
Everyone's read that book, though.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like legally required, if you're able to speak English, that you read a Dean Koontz book.
You come into the country. Okay, you got your Dean Koontz. You got
that and like a Stephen King book.
Yeah.
That dude's a fucking hack. I don't think I've ever read one of his books that I've liked.
Yeah.
No, it's just Stephen King podcast.
I don't know. He's hit or miss.
Like I read. Have you ever read like The Last Stand or whatever? The Stand.
No.
It's like a fucking 2,000-page long book about the end of the world,
I just know that it has that super weird scene in it
where all the kids bang.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird, man.
I've never read it. I just know of it.
I read The Stand. I read.
I mean, a lot of his books are supposed to be. Honestly, I haven't read that much King now that I'm thinking
He
about
just
it.
shits out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, who
Well,
cares?
he's been going since like what?
1942.
80s? Sounds about right.
Right around the end of this of the World War.
Yeah.
But we've been going here for like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah. Time
So
to call it?
we'll call it.
All right.
But next episode, I swear to God, I will have some sleep in me, and
Fingers
we'll
crossed.
have a format.
Well,
of
we'll
something.
actually have a schedule. We've been traveling,
But I feel like we still did really good at uploading stuff.
yes.
Like
Uploads are good.
we like did like a really good job about like staying on top of like uploading shit and like getting content out for people to watch.
More content coming at you.
Just nonstop content back to
Non-stop,
back.
just content shooting in your eyeballs.
Yeah. But until next time, we'll still be stuck here in Barb's basement. I'll be sleeping on the cot just right over Zach.
I'll be over
Man, that's
there
why
in,
I'm not sleeping.
in the corner with my blankets.
Yeah. But until then, we'll see you next time.
Adios.
I forgot how to do this.
We